Hello guys, today is Hindu Editorial, that is Thursday, January 20, episode number 16. Hope you are seeing all the previous episodes and you are already connected to our Instagram and email or WhatsApp, because only then you will be getting the regular updates, and also you can connect with me to ask whether this particular lecture is there or where is the playlist. Anything you want to ask, you can come and ask me. So please subscribe and hit the bell icon, because anyway you have reached till here, you have clicked on this video. Please do it as a favor, okay? Because we are not charging anything for this. Just hit the subscribe button and the bell icon next to it, and just save this number and message me. UPSC free or free classes, whatever, you just message me. Okay, once you message me, then we'll take it up from there. Okay. So today's agenda, we'll see there are many important articles. So the first one, if you see, it's elections, Goa elections. There always coalition parties comes into power. There is no single party who comes like majority. So that is going to happen. So whether BJP will come in power and all these things are discussed. So not important for you. Then this one, if you see, it's the 5G technology which is coming in, and USA they tried to implement 5G and some issues are coming with when you implement it near airports. So that we'll quickly discuss. Then this article, if you see, this is a very interesting article. This Russia's history and the future. Okay, like what does Putin really want, or what is the geopolitical scenario there? So many country names and the borders of Black Sea and Caspian Sea and all those things are discussed. So it's very interesting, even though it is not anywhere connected to India directly, but it's about the geopolitics of Russia versus USA and all these things. Okay, so we'll discuss this because for mains GS2 it is needed. Next one, if you see, it's for empowering city governments. Okay, the local urban government things are not getting implemented properly. They don't have the much powers and all. So about that, Finance Commission and RBI and many people have suggested many things. So that we'll discuss. This is also important. This is not very important, but we'll quickly go through. Okay, like online anonymity. Okay, meaning the fake profiles which people have, and with that they do any abuses, they spread fake newses, they spread viral messages. So that kind of things. Okay, online anonymity we'll quickly discuss for your GS3 mains. Then here, if you see, it's caste again, politics, UP caste politics. Yesterday there was a big article on this. Today they put a small article on this. Anyway, both of them are not useful to us. Then the next one, if you see, this is the budget. Budget will come on February 1. Okay, earlier it used to come in February end, but then you will know if you studied Lakshmikant polity that there is the expenses problem is there. But when the financial year starts on April 1, by that time all the money you will not be able to start using, because the process will be still going on if you do it by February end. Okay, meaning March and all, if you do 1 month, it is not enough to get the expenses out of the budget. So you preponed it 1 month earlier, and also railway budget was mixed or combined with the union budget. So those things which Modi government has done, that this person from TMC party is criticizing. Okay. And also now elections are going to come. So before elections the budget will happen. So obviously government will announce lot of schemes and freebies and many things. Okay, in the budget as general thing for the entire India. So now that may have an impact on the elections, right? People will listen to this and think like, okay, this government is right for us and will vote. So that he is questioning, like, can you cancel the budget and postpone it after elections? That is not practically possible, but he is suggesting that in 2012 or something Congress government had done it once before, because elections was coming up. So Modi government also should do it. Okay, so that kind of things again not very relevant. Okay, because budget when it comes we'll discuss in detail. This is not relevant. Now this one, if you see this box, it's actually not statistics, but it is something about the asteroids and the comets and all the near earth object, okay, which we call NEO. Many things are like flying past the world, the earth. So that statistics they have given, that names they have given. Okay, so that I'll quickly show you. We'll start with that today. Okay, so here if you see an asteroid named 74821994 PC1, this flew past the Earth on January 18th. Okay, so its diameter is around 1 kilometer and is classified as potentially hazardous by NASA. So it is the second largest asteroid to fly past Earth since 2018. Okay, and here one unit you will see lunar distance. Okay, last time UPSC asked a question on light years and all. So people did not expect it, okay, because UPSC usually don't ask the science basics, but now because they're asking, you have to know one lunar distance is around this much kilometer, okay, 3,84,317 kilometers. Just have an idea, it's more than 3 lakh kilometer, okay, because if UPSC is changing something, they will put it like 300 kilometer, or just that units and tens or digits place they'll change, okay. So this much is the lunar distance, and it is found. Now again some film was there, some don't look up. So from that also something they are predicting some catastrophic event will happen in the earth, and many things are there. In 2022, 39 such objects are expected to fly by and go past the earth. Okay, and distance also we see 10 LD, and also LD means lunar distance. Okay, so that kind of things they have given. So with the diameter of 5.4 kilometer, if you see this one was diameter 1 kilometer and told second largest asteroid. So the largest one was 5.4 kilometer, and this is the name. Okay, so if UPSC asks like this was in news what it is, it's a asteroid which is passing by the earth. Okay, So the closest one which came near the Earth was distance of some 7,000 kilometer, and largest expected to fly past in 2022. I told no, 39 are expected to fly by. The largest one is around 780 in diameter. Okay, so that is going to come near the Earth. Then again here they are telling biggest NEOs. Okay, the biggest ones which will fly past the Earth or which already fly past since 1900. So they have given the names here. Okay, so this one, if you see the first one which I showed, the 5.4 kilometer one, and after that this one, like that, they are showing in different years. If you see 1981, 2006, so you cannot by heart all this, but at least just have a see. This Tautetes, then this Hermes, then Cacus. These names, when you see, these are all near Earth objects which has flown past the Earth. Okay, then this is the biggest one. Same way, this is all the flyby since 2018. They are showing with distance, that lunar distance concept they are showing. This also, again, you don't have to by heart any of this. Okay, but this is the representation of that. And again, this is the closest one. This is the biggest one. This is the closest one. Okay, which came the closest. So if you see 786 kilometer, this is some 2020 QG, like that, different things came. Okay, so you can around say like nearest it came is around 7686 kilometer. Okay, so this is the overall chart, and now we will go forward, because other articles we have to discuss in little more detailing. That picture I just wanted to show you. Now in Vysh courses channel, you have to subscribe. Now participation has increased. Some people are commenting under the older videos and all, so you have to go and like and comment that also. Please subscribe, because whatever is happening other than the editorial, like I told, the national security policy of Pakistan, then this one Tigress died. Okay, and this what is Web 3.0, these are all scheduled this week only. So if you see 8 p.m, whatever you see, it's all Hindi lectures. Okay, this is 8 p.m lectures taken by this ma'am, and this 9 p.m lectures which are English lectures. So these are all 6 minutes, 8 minute videos, and you will gain a lot of knowledge. Okay, so in prelims, direct question when it comes from here, after the exam you will regret. So please see to it that you are watching all these episodes. Okay, and please tell me which all are the subjects which you need like faster episodes to come out and all, because some people told me like polity has to come out, environment has to come out. So this week I have speeded up both polity and environment. Okay, so this week every day 8 p.m polity Hindi lecture will come, and next week almost every day environment lecture will come. Okay, at 8 p.m. Hindi lectures I'm telling. English lectures is at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Same way, NCRT's class 11th English is over, and class 12th English will start most probably this week. Okay, and these are the mains lectures which currently are on halt. Only if you give response, we will continue. Okay, and science and tech, already 6 episodes in English are there. Same thing in Hindi, I have asked ma'am to take, and so Hindi lectures will start this week. I think on 28th the first episode will come. Okay, January 28th the first episode of Hindi science and tech will come. So please again comment which all episodes you are needing urgently. Okay, and editorial, anything before asking doubts, please go through these FAQs. Okay, so the first article, 5G versus airports. So United States, you know, they were trying to roll out this 5G in their country. So telecommunication company, you know, the biggest one, this AT&T and Verizon, this is the biggest companies there for telecommunication. So their auctions will happen obviously when you need this spectrum. Okay, here also we would have heard 2G spectrum, 3G spectrum. So when you need spectrum to get this 5G services and all, bidding will happen, and these companies have won it for some $81 billion, and it's like this C-band radio spectrum which they got it. Okay, so now what happened is, when they were about to roll out this, the airline companies there, okay, the leading airlines, they have warned of massive flight disruptions if the wireless technology was put in operation, especially around the nation's airports. Meaning, if near airport, if you install this, then there will be disruptions, and the flights, there will be problems. Okay, so they are telling like there will be rescheduling, there will be possibility of cancellation of flight, there will be many warnings issued by the Federal Aviation Administration. There are problems going to come. Okay, so this AT&T, they have agreed to delay the introduction of the 5G system near airports. Okay, so if you see, it is actually affecting what? It's actually affecting the functioning of radar altimeters. Okay, radar altimeters means altimeters are the ones which provide the information on aircraft altitude and are a crucial part of flight operations for pilots, particularly while seeking to make low visibility landings in inclement weather. So this altitude information is given through altimeter, and that function will be interrupted or disrupted if the 5G things are installed nearby the airports. Okay, so interestingly, both are using the C-band radio spectrum. Okay, that is why this is happening, and frequency small variation is there. Okay, so that is why this is a problem. So either you have to change the device altimeter things to suit some other frequency or some other spectrum, or this has to be changed. Okay, but this much costly bidding has already done. So now mostly altimeter they will try to replace. Okay, so they are working with the altimeter manufacturers to evaluate data from the wireless companies to determine how robust each model is, and if required, have the devices retrofitted or replaced. Okay, these talks are going on. Now, if you see, in South Korea, China, Japan, several European nations already successfully have rolled out already, okay, 5G services. So US also want to do it, and they are telling that this is evidence that the airlines and all need to do more research and more solutions, because if other countries can do it, we can also do it. Okay, so there is some problem with the analysis or data here. Okay, so there might not be any problem when it installs, or if it is installed also, there should be some solutions to it. Okay, so that the airline people have to do, that is what they have suggested. US telecom company has suggested. So in comparison to France also, they are doing some analysis, like what are the challenges and all, like what are the differences. Okay, because France and all, they installed, I think so. France, if you see, the 5G power levels are lower in France. Okay, and also their timing and all, like when it will get disrupted or something, like last 20 seconds only USA is doing, but France last 96 seconds. This kind of data is not at all important for you. Just understand that the magnitude in which USA is going to launch this 5G services is going to be much more than France. Okay, so the impact also can be more. Okay, so now the Biden administration has to hammer out a long-term solution to this impasse so as to minimize any further disruption to the already pandemic hit global travel and trade sector. Because of pandemic, travel and trade is the most affected sector. So that again, it should not get disrupted by delaying flights and all because of your 5G services. Okay, so a long-term solution has to come. So it's a very simple, small articles just to tell you there is some problem going on. Now the local bodies. So Reserve Bank of India (RBI) has made a report. Okay, State Finances Study of Budgets of 2021-22. So now they're telling the third tier governments or the local level government in India plays a very frontline role in fighting the pandemic and all these things. So now in the last many months, they have their finances, everything is under severe strain. They're not having much money or resources because the expenditures are much more. Okay, and they're not getting any fund also. They don't have much taxation powers and all these things. So that is what is being discussed in this entire article. Okay, many slides are there, but I'll try to tell you the important points alone. Okay, so functional autonomy of civic bodies must increase and their governance structure strengthened. Okay, that is empowering them financially through higher resource availability. This is the gist of the whole thing we will discuss. So in Finance Commission 15th Finance Commission report also, it was told that local bodies, everything, the governance structure, financial empowerment, everything should be increased. So RBI has quoted that also. Okay, the emphasis should be on resource availability, but how this will happen is not highlighted, meaning solutions are not properly given. Even though in the last slide I'll show you some 4-5 points, but this is not properly given. So generating more resources at local level is the only option. You have to generate taxes or generate some powers to them. That is what the only option. So while correctly identifying the role of city governments in meeting the challenges the pandemic has thrown up, the report also points to the draining of resources. Now, if you see, more than 70% saw a decline in revenue. Okay, the municipal corporations, when they surveyed, more than 70% saw a decline in revenue. In contrast, their expenditure rose by 71%. Okay, so expenditure is increasing and their revenues are declining. Then how will they cope up? Okay, so another thing they're telling, limited coverage of property tax and its failure in shoring up municipal corporation revenue. Okay, OECD group, you should know, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, that their data shows that India has the lowest property tax collection rate in the world. Okay, that is property tax to GDP ratio. If you see, India has the least. Okay, so without that, the resources and economy of the local level will be very less. Now, when you fight disasters also, we are seeing prime ministers, chief ministers, district magistrate, all these people are taking actions. They are giving instructions, they are putting guidelines, but the mayors who are elected, the mayors are found missing. Okay, so disaster management plan of action will not work properly if you don't give the power to mayors. Okay, the old approach of treating cities as adjuncts of state government continues to dominate the policy paradigm. So this mayors who are elected, they also have a role. Okay, they are put into that place for this only, for taking care of the district. So that if it's not happening properly, and if you still treat like these are all just like sidekicks of the state, or it's like below the state and they don't have to be needed given powers, then things will not work at the ground level. Okay, so if you see, urban development is a state subject. Okay, UPSC has a habit of asking all these things. So you should know urban development is a state subject. The first intervention to understand the urban. Okay, like when did we first start taking this thing seriously? Okay, urban development and urban power and all. So in 5-year plans which started in the 1950s, we already have references. Okay, but the first proper intervention or the pan-India vision came in the 1980s when the National Commission on Urbanization was formed. Okay, with this Charles person, he is the chairperson. Okay, Charles. So he was appointed as the chairperson of this National Commission on Urbanization in 1980s. This is the first pan-India vision for urban development. Another important thing was in 1990s when you had the Narasimha Rao government and we had constitutional amendment 73rd and 74th, and you had this rural development and the panchayat one and the municipal one. Okay, so that one is there, and around 18 functions have been transferred to the local bodies and listed in the 12th schedule. You should know the schedules, like first schedule what it is, second schedule what it is, because UPSC repeatedly ask like what is the fifth schedule, what is the sixth schedule, match the following questions. They will ask you. Okay, so please study. Vysh IAS students will get a revision chart anyway. Others, please try to study from Lakshmikant. Okay, so but this was also the period of neoliberal reforms. Okay, in the 90s, liberal reforms was there. So the generation of own resources and a slow withdrawal of the state could be witnessed. So there was some improvement in the 90s. Okay. And if you see, transfer of this thing was important, the 18 subjects. However, there was no mention of financial empowerment. More the idea of competitive cities to attract investment in the urban centers by making their structures and land laws flexible. So, we have this competitive cities, smart cities concept. All these things actually the author is criticizing. Okay, because that will happen, but funds are not being given properly. That is the thing they are telling. So not much investment has happened and cities has not really been able to enhance their financial capabilities. Only exception they are telling is some Kerala model where 40% of the state's plan budget was for local bodies directly with the transfer of important subjects such as planning, etc. Okay, so there they are having a very good model in Kerala. So that 40% of the state's plan budget, everything is given directly to them and they are involved in all the planning phases and all. Okay, so this is a new dimension to the urban governance. So now RBI is telling 3F. Okay, 3F is transfer of functions, finances, functionaries. Okay, function, finances, functionaries to the city government. So this you can start. Okay, when you start the answer itself, if you write this, you will get examiner will like it. Okay, because it's said by RBI. Okay, now in India there are nearly 5,000 statutory towns and equal number of census towns. You should know what is a statutory town, census town and all. It's there in your Lakshmikant in the municipalities chapter. Please read it. And then nearly 35% of the populations live in urban centers. Nearly 2/3 of the country's GDP comes from cities. 90% of the government revenue comes from cities. So cities are very, very important for the nation's economy. Okay. So before and all, there was something called octroi tax or the entry tax. Okay, meaning someone enters the city and enters the municipality. There was a entry tax. Okay, now it's not there. So these places, this Pimpri and this Pune and all, these are examples of high revenue earning municipalities because of the octroi tax. Okay, but this source of revenue collection was taken away by the state and central government. Instead, finance commissions recommended grants. Okay, so this one is taken away and now grants are given to the urban local body based on their demographic profile. Okay, so previously 55% of the total revenue expenditure of urban center was met by octroi. Okay, but now after the grants system came, only 15% of the total revenue expenditure is covered. So it is a big loss for them. Okay, when they replaced octroi system with the grant system, this much loss is happening to them. Okay, so it is difficult for the towns to sustain their ability to perform their bare minimum functions, especially with the latest pay commission recommendations. Okay, with the latest all clauses, it's not favoring the city's revenue model. Okay, so now all these things are happening pan-India level. Okay, it's not like only one city is affected or two cities affected. Pan-India phenomenon it is. So the cities has to be graded up, the urban policies has to be linked to them. And GST, it came and it is telling it is completely robbed cities find themselves in a worse state than states. Okay, meaning they don't have much taxation abilities now, so they are facing difficulties. Okay, and they are citing European examples, the Scandinavian countries, which are always number one, rank one in most of the indexes. So they are managing their functions well because the income tax which you collect from citizens, most of the portion is given to the city governments, meaning it is not like state will give funds, city is getting the funds directly and they are developing. So each person, if you develop your own city, the entire country will develop. Okay, so directly the income is given. So if that is implemented, this would be phenomenal. Okay, if that kind of model is coming. Okay, so here if you see in the UPA time, I think Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, okay, they were reviewing this 74th constitutional amendment and they recommended the same kind of thing, that 10% of income tax collected from the cities was to be given back to them as a direct revenue grant from the central government. Okay, so 10% income tax given like the Scandinavian model, then this will be good, but it was never taken into consideration. Okay, so here last slide, 5 steps they are given or for what needs to be done. Okay, it's all similar points, but we'll just see what RBI has recommended because you can use this in your answers. So cities must be treated as important centers of governance where democratic decentralization can bring in amazing result as seen in Kerala. Okay, like meaning they should involve in planning the local bodies. There will be transparency and adequate participation of the people. Okay, as I told, community participation, you can put in any answer which you write. Let it be environment or wildlife or anything you are writing in any paper, always write community participation. Okay, it will give you 1 mark simply free of cost. Now, cities should be considered as entrepreneurship spaces where the sole driving force is to make them competitive to attract investment. We have seen how fallacious this argument is. They must be considered as spaces for planned development by giving adequate attention to resources. Okay, so their resources, plan development, entrepreneurship, all these things, so that investments flow into that city. Okay, so this is the second thing. One is center of governance and democratic decentralization. One is entrepreneurship and fund coming in. Okay, third, our cities are hardly prepared for the impact of climate change, nor do they have adaptive strategies. The resources required for quantitative and qualitative data must be immediately provided to the cities to ensure a disaster risk reduction plan, keeping vulnerable communities in mind. Okay, so there should be data given to them so that they can fight the disaster problems, the climate change problems, and all these things. Okay, then here if you see, grants from the center must be enhanced. Okay, whatever is given, I told you, it is not sufficient. When the octroi system was changed to grant, it was not good. The concept of smart city itself is telling like it is not good. You have to give more grants and ask the cities to make their own plans based on their priority. It should not be like a central same plan for every city. Okay, every city has different needs and these things and all. They should be given power to make their own plans. They should be given decision making power. They should be given like a community participation rights, and they should be given fund. So this is the fourth one. Now fifth one, leadership in the city must be elected for a term of 5 years. Okay, because in some places mayor is just for 1 year. Okay, and if that is just based on party thing, people keep changing and there is no permanent cadre, people keep transferring from city to city, then nobody will care of developing that place when they're staying there just for 1 year. Okay, so that also has to change the term. So these are 5 interesting points which RBI has given. Okay, so by this exercise, RBI has at least started mentioning about cities, because every time we tell about state, center, international only, we don't talk much about the cities. So cities as an important center of governance, RBI has taken a good step by publishing this report. Okay, hope it's clear. Now third one, Russia. So Russia, as I told, the future history, everything they are discussing here. So here Catherine the Great, okay, the empress of that time, 18th century, once said, no way to defend my borders but to extend them. Okay, meaning there is no other option to, the borders are so porous and very difficult to handle, so you have to extend them, meaning you should have a protective cover on both sides. Okay, so you have to acquire more and more places. This was her idea. Okay, so under her reign the empire continued to grow, encompassing new Russia, okay, which has the Black Sea also, the Ukraine, Crimea, this Caucasus, Belarus, Baltic region, all these were acquired in those times. Okay, and after that, like many of our predecessors also, this ambitious powers and all these things were going on, and it continued later also. Okay, it continued. It was like axiom, means it's like a statement which is like which you have, it's like an established fact. Okay, meaning that you will follow anyway. Okay, a statement or proposition which is regarded as being established, accepted, or self-evidently true. Okay, so her axiom continued to be a guiding principle for several of her famed successors, from Stalin, who defeated the Nazis and expanded the Soviet boundaries, to Vladimir Putin, who annexed Crimea. Okay, Crimea issue we have already discussed. So now also, few days back also we saw that like 1 lakh troops on the Ukraine border he has went and placed, and US and NATO is telling like it should not be done, it should withdraw. So that fight is going on. So this has been followed from this Catherine to Stalin to Putin. Okay. Now Russia, you know, by land mass, it is the largest country. Okay, it is the largest country in the world, and their borders, if you see, two sides it's full water. Okay, in the north it is full Arctic Ocean, and on the east side it is full Pacific Ocean. Okay, so the south and the west and central, that is the places which they have to take care. Okay, and their map you should have in mind. Okay, I'm not showing you here. You should know Russia's map in a general idea. They have St. Petersburg through Moscow to Volga. They are just showing the important places from left to right. Okay, so these areas are there, and it's vulnerable to attack. Okay, because China is there, and then other countries, China is still now friends with them, then the Central Asian countries are there, then the other East European countries are there. So all these are in the borders, and there is problem of USA coming there also. Okay, so practically no natural barriers that stop an invading army from its west borders. Okay, in the last 2 centuries, that's last 200 years, you know, 2 big attacks was there on Russia. Okay, one is 1812 attack by Napoleon from France, and 1941 attack by Nazi Germany. Okay, Hitler. But both places, Russia won the thing. Okay, Russia defeated them both, but after suffering huge material and human losses. Okay, so after Second World War, Russia, what they did is they tried to re-establish the control over the rim land. Rim land means that extra border which you are trying to make. Okay, rim land in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, which it hoped would protect its heartland. Okay, to protect its own land, it will take a rim land, meaning it will capture more and more East European countries or Central Asian countries, and so the central heartland will be protected. That was their idea. But you know, later 1991, disintegration will happen. Okay, Soviet Union will break down into Russia and many other countries. Okay, 13, 14 countries it will become. So that time again the insecurity comes. So this insecurity only later they are like their agenda, their full foreign policy became this defensive aggressiveness. Okay, including Putin. Defensive, you are defensive but you are aggressive. Okay, defensive aggressiveness is the Russian model. Okay, because of the fear of people coming closer to you. Okay, so now Russia lost over 3 million square kilometer. Okay, after that breakup of Soviet Union, this much kilometer of land was gone. Entire rim land was gone. Okay, so the heartland is having future threat will come. Okay, now that time Cold War is there. Okay, Cold War between USA and Russia. So that time NATO was formed, North Atlantic Treaty Organization by USA, and the West, that is USA, promised that they would not expand an inch to the east. Meaning we have certain countries under NATO. After that, we won't extend beyond that, and we will not acquire any more countries. So we will not get close to Russia. Okay, because that time up to NATO means only till Norway or some little bit countries only. It was not having the other Balkan countries and all. Okay, but what happened is US and UK and all, they had the promises, but they still continued expansion. Okay, in March 1999, in the Cold War time and all, if you see Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, all were members of the Soviet-led Warsaw Pact. Okay, initially, like opposite to NATO, we had Warsaw Pact also. But these people went and joined NATO. Okay, meaning NATO is expanding. And that means the land area of NATO is coming closer to Russia. 5 years later, in 2004, 7 more countries, including the 3 Baltic countries of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, which we discussed yesterday also, all of which share borders with Russia, were taken into alliance, meaning all these people now went to NATO. Okay, so Russia saw this as a direct challenge to its security. In the early 1990s, NATO's border with Russia was limited to the northern strip of Norway, like I told, okay, early 1990s. But later, as I told, by 2004, many countries joined. And then now the NATO's border, okay, whichever country NATO has, the Estonian border, to the Russian capital is just 160 kilometers away. Meaning this NATO boundary is so close to Russian capital. Okay, so Russia felt threatened, but was not able to respond. Okay, because they already had the weak state of crumbling economy, directionless foreign policy. Because in 2000 only Putin came and he understood that we have to first fix the state. We have to first fix the economy. Okay, so they developed defense and they started doing trade with everyone, and those things they started fixing the economy. In 2008, when the US promised membership to Georgia and Ukraine, okay, in one summit which happened, this Bucharest summit, Russia, which was coming out of the post-Soviet retreat, responded forcefully. Okay, because already, as I told, they occupied everything. Now Georgia, Ukraine, which is the closest to Russia now, okay, near the Black Sea area and all, that also the USA tried to offer, okay, to come to NATO. So for the Kremlin means their their presidential house or their parliament, you can call Russia's. Okay, for them, both Ukraine and Georgia are critical for its national security calculations. Okay, so distance from the Ukrainian border to Moscow is less than 500 kilometers. Okay, so that is why if Ukraine also goes there, then it's a very problematic thing for Russia. So NATO has already come closer to St. Petersburg. Now, if Ukraine also joins the alliance, the heartland would come further under threat. Okay. So now if you see Black Sea earlier and all, when USSR thing was there, they used to consider this as a Russian lake because it is attached to Russia in the left side, and I think it's like a Russian lake. It's not like an international thing because all those countries there was part of USSR only. Okay, but then if you see Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, which are Black Sea bordering countries, they all are NATO members. Now only 2 countries remaining are Ukraine and Georgia. Okay, which are sharing the Black Sea. So if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one is Russia. 6 countries border Black Sea. Okay, this is a UPSC 2018 question. You should know Black Sea bordering countries. Okay, so these are the other countries that share the Black Sea coast besides Russia. So Russia was already feeling squeezed on the Black Sea front. Its gateway to the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, because through Black Sea only you can go to Mediterranean Sea. Okay, so if Ukraine and Georgia also join NATO, Russia fears that its dominance over the Black Sea would come to an end. Okay, so in 2019, Putin, what he did, sent troops to Georgia over a conflict area. Okay, this South Ossetia and Abkhazia. These 2 places now, next time when you hear, you should know, it is a conflict zone in Georgia. So Russia sent the troops there. Okay, and 2014, as I told, they went and annexed the Ukraine also. Okay, because what happened is Ukraine had a government which was Kremlin friendly, Russia friendly, but protesters pulled them down. So obviously he went and annexed it. He moved to annex the Crimean Peninsula. Okay, Crimean Peninsula. Why? Because that is a peninsula which has access to the Black Sea there. Okay, so expanding the Russia's Black Sea coast. And if you see, there is a port there, Sevastopol. Okay, Sevastopol was, I think, once asked in one other exam, not civil service exam, some other exam of UPSC, they asked like, where is Sevastopol? So it is in Crimea. Okay, so this was the loudest statement from Putin that Russia was ready to take unconventional measures, meaning they are ready to even now go and annex, not like only talks and meetings and all. They are ready to annex also if you are trying to come closer. Okay, so in both Ukraine and Georgia, they have tried it and become successful. Okay, so this, if you see highlighted countries, these are the places where Russia is kind of successful or are moving their troops. Okay, which I have already discussed in multiple articles. So Putin has tried to turn every crisis in the former Soviet region into a geopolitical opportunity, meaning whenever their problems come, he will go and give their troops there. So this South Ossetia and Abkhazia, which I told, which is the self-proclaimed republics that broke away from Georgia, these are now under Russian-controlled forces. Then Ukraine, as I told, there this Donbas region is there, which is in the hands of pro-Russian rebels. Then Belarus, some protest happened in 2020. There also Putin sent assistance, okay, to restore order. Then Russia sent thousands of peacekeepers when there was a war between Armenia and Azerbaijan. This also we discussed in November editorial. Okay. Then Belarus, there is a leader. There also some migrant crisis was there in the Polish border. There also Putin gave the backing. Okay. Then Kazakhstan issue we very recently discussed, I think 1 week back. That time also, this is CSTO, Collective Security Treaty Organization, which is led by Russia. Their troops were sent there, okay, to help Kazakhstan. So everywhere which are former Soviet Union countries, when a problem comes, Putin is giving the backing so that they don't give their support towards USA in any cost. They will all look up to Russia for any future crisis. Okay, and Kazakhstan, you should know, it's the largest and wealthiest country. Okay, even India is trying to get a lot of tie-up with them because of the resources, uranium, petrol, many things are there in Kazakhstan. Okay. Now USA, you know, they are weakening there in the Central Asian parts. Okay, they have already withdrawn from Afghanistan. And Europe also, if you see, they are just, vocal, meaning they tell dialogues, but they don't do anything against Russia's aggressive move because Russia is supplying gas to them. Okay, Russian gas is very important to them. So they just say dialogues. They won't do anything against Russia in the public. Okay, so the West inability to inflict any serious damage on Russia over its Crimea annexation appears to have emboldened Mr. Putin further. Okay, so because these people are silent, Russia is getting more confidence to go and continue their same thing. Okay, so West, which is the winner of the Cold War, okay, USA, which is the winner of the Cold War, earlier used to call Putin like he's a like thuggish tactician, does not have any strategy, and like even Biden now when he came to power, he told he's a killer after taking office last year. Okay, so this kind of things are told. Okay, but Mr. Putin, what is doing is steadily rebuilding the lost Russian influences in the rimland. Okay, and by destabilizing Georgia and Ukraine and re-establishing Russia's hold in all these countries, which I told, has effectively stalled NATO's further expansion to its backyard. Okay, so Russia is kind of winning now. Okay, but the West cannot ignore him anymore. They have to find how to fight with Russia. Okay, before Russia prepares their next attack towards the entire Ukraine. Now in Ukraine, Crimea they have annexed. If the entire Ukraine goes to them, it will be a big problem. So USA has to take some action. Okay, and already they have failed, as I told, to defeat Taliban in Afghanistan. NATO is not directly going to do a war. Okay, they have to do something else. One weapon which they always use is the sanctions, economic sanctions. They will tell, don't do trade in dollars, don't do trade in our currency, don't do trade with our friends or our allies. Like there are many things are there. They have their Katsa Act and all, with which they tell even India, don't go and do trade with Russia. Okay, but India doesn't listen. India goes and does it also. Okay, these are the only options they have. So Mr. Putin have already deepened Russia's tie with China, a Cold War rival, to balance against the West economic coercion. Seems to be ready to pay the economic price. Okay, so whatever it is, Russia has ties with China now, so they don't worry about these economic sanctions and whatever the West is going to put. They are ready to pay that price. Okay, because they have to get their rimland. Okay, so unless the West re-establish its deterrence, Mr. Putin's defensive aggression will continue. Okay, so I hope you got an entire idea like what all countries are there in the East and West and all, and what is this NATO versus Russia problem. Okay. So this last article, as I told, not very important, just about the anonymity on social media, meaning the fake profiles and all these things. So they are first starting with the classroom scene. Okay, in your classroom and all, when your teacher is writing something on the board, you will that time like throw a paper plane on the board or throw chalk at the board or talk to each other. You do whatever because you are not being noted. Okay. Or in the crowded auditorium also, when somebody is giving a stage performance or something, somebody from the crowd will shout something, a sarcastic remark or howl or do something because they know they will not be caught. Okay, because it's a crowd. So this kind of things is already there within every human. Okay, it is already happening offline. So now the same thing, they are comparing it to online. Okay, social media. People are using a pseudonym, a different fake name, fake photo, then or maybe no photo, then nothing specified in their bio or their about me section. Nothing is there. Okay. Usually you will have a first name, last name, your interest, your everything. And so when you Google that person, you will get the details. Okay, the original details of that person. Now, security researchers define anonymity as being unidentifiable within a set of subject. Okay, meaning there are different types of people. Some people, maybe their name, all these things are not there, but with their content we can know who it is. Okay, because they share their photos, they share their location, they visit a restaurant, they tag that place, something they do, and you can get to know that person. And also with the present government and technology and all these things and all the resources we have anyway a capability to trace a person. Okay, so this is the starting they're telling. Now anonymity, various reasons will be there why people stay anonymous. Okay, maybe because they don't want, they have a bad past or something, or they are maybe with a certain ideology. So when you tell something in social media, you don't want them to people to judge you. Okay, because you are from that ideology, it is like that. Because you were that victim, you are telling more about this thing. So that, to avoid that, maybe anonymity is done. Okay, or maybe again in the real world you don't want to be judged, or real world you don't want to be looked upon or looked down, anything. Okay, so maybe that is the reason. Now, when this anonymity seeker knows that their real world self, okay, in their home, neighborhood, all these things will not get impacted, they seem less inhibited and bolder. Meaning, anyway, they are not going to catch you. They don't know who you are in real. No threat to you in real life. So you will become more and more bolder, and you share more and more bolder opinions. Okay. So this is like the online equivalent of your classroom thing only. Okay, that's what, like, nobody is watching you. That feeling you have. Okay. Now, not all anonymous handles tend to be abusive or hold extreme views. Okay, but it is equally true that the most angry, abusive, abrasive, and this obfuscatory conversations, okay, anything which is not good or very extreme, these things come from the anonymous handlers. You would have seen in Facebook and all, sometimes we see like maybe fans of different actors are fighting with each other, or maybe political ideological people are fighting with each other, but most of them will be fake profiles. Okay, because they don't care. They can abuse you, they can laugh at you, they can put sarcastic comment. From the real profile, they don't have the guts to do it. Okay, and if you go with your real profile, they'll come and start like what to say, tagging your friends, your family, trolling you, because your profile is real. Okay, so you should try to avoid this. Okay, like in our, maybe when we started social media, every one of us would have tried this. Okay, like fighting, because we don't understand like who all is seeing that, what all can be the impact, because you think like, okay, they are also real profile, but they are all fake profiles. Okay, so now when you are matured, maybe most of you have avoided it, especially Facebook, and all, many people have stopped it now. Okay, now they can even tag the persons, like as you told, as I told, person's employer, family members, and all, and they can like defame you and all these things. But sometimes what happens is they also ignore. Okay, they will just tell it's a freedom of expression, so simply leave that. Okay, so like this kind of many things are happening. This article doesn't have a proper conclusion. Now they are telling like all the above examples are anonymity by choice. Okay, but what happens is the platform themselves give you chance to be anonymous. Okay, so they are telling some examples of something like Glassdoor, Fishbowl, and Reddit. Okay, so these are all some anonymous social media kind of platform where I think one is for some professional people to come together and talk about something, one is for some other unemployed people to come and talk. So that is not important. They're all American companies. So these are the platforms where when you register, everything will be anyway anonymous. Okay, so they are giving you the freedom to go and discuss without a face. Okay, so this is the current trend now. So the issue is not only about the abuse or extreme opinions, but also of misinformation and disinformation. Okay, you know, the fake news and all these things are being spread through the fake profiles only. Okay, so this gives the power to a person to evade judgment by public opinion. Okay, meaning you cannot do anything there on the social media. Only a legal mandate can hold them accountable for spreading lies should the need arise. Meaning only legal action you can take. If a person choose something, okay, an anonymous person on Twitter share something fake information which affect your reputation, your only option is go to the police and then get the platform to take action. Okay, directly the platform, they don't have the ability now. They cannot verify whether one is anonymous or what is right. You are right or that person is right. They cannot do unless legally a police or a court or someone instructs them. They are not going to do it. So you cannot use a less tedious approach. Meaning there is no simple way. Only the hard way is there to take action. Now, given the tendency of people to behave in undesirable way when their real world reputation is not affected by what they say online. Okay, meaning whatever they do, their real world reputation is not going to get affected. So this may amplify already existing issues around online disinformation and fake news. Okay, already we have that much plenty of news items of this fake news and all these things. So when these people are not having any problem, they are not going to get affected in real life, they will be again amplifying this. Okay, so in an online confrontation, it's almost as though one side has their eyes covered by a cloth and their hands. Okay, like one is having a bazooka, they're telling one is having a bazooka in hand and one is like eyes tied up and hands tied up. Okay, so that kind of two unequal people are fighting with each other. Okay, so you cannot rationally or emotionally appeal to this pseudo-anonymous online entity. You cannot shame them into backtracking their disinformation. You need to convince someone else, either in a social media platform or the law enforcement agencies, to take action. Okay, so anonymity, as I told, there is no conclusion or anything there, but they are just telling the reality of what is going on. Okay, so again, as I told, please subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and send me this WhatsApp message, because we need to be in touch with you. Okay, because this UPSC journey sometimes will go more than 1 year and all, or maybe you are now targeting 2023, 24. So the earlier you are connected with me, earlier you will be learning the right way. Okay, subscribe to both our channels. I'll come up with the next video. Thank you and have a nice day.